Page 636 towards the back of your Siddur. Yedid nefesh avarachama v'shok avdecha eretz olecha yarutz avdecha kimo ayah ishtachave
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I said outside that there was a nice energy in the room, and I think it's because it's summer. I think that really looking out at you, sitting where we sit, we look out at your faces and we see the vibe, we see the general feelings that you reflect, and I can tell that many of you may be a little bit more relaxed right now, which is good. Hopefully that continues. And it may be that some of you are entering this space feeling less relaxed. Maybe you're stressed out. Maybe you really need Shabbat. Maybe this has been a really hard week, and that's also right. Shabbat is also obviously a place for you, a time for you. This is the place for you to do rest communally. And many of you know I was just away. I felt like I had a real chance to rest, and it's work to rest sometimes. You have to really work to not think about what you normally think about. And I want to invite you into that for the next hour to rest, but also to do the work of rest. And many of us know we're pretty familiar with Shabbat as a concept. Many of us know that we're not supposed to do certain things. We're not supposed to work. But I wonder if you all know the things that you are actively supposed to do on Shabbat. This is actually a question. It is a halachic question. There are wrong answers. But I'm curious if you actually know, what are you supposed to actively do on Shabbat? Karen, yeah. Study the Torah. Okay. Wait a minute, one at a time. I heard study the Torah. That is one. Beverly. Take a nap. That counts. That counts. What else we got? Study the Torah, go to shul. Okay, those are two of them classically, and take a nap is a half point. What else we got? Anyone else? Make challah? Eat challah. Technically, that's not, well, it's required, but it's complicated. Yes. Deborah, what? Pray, attend shul in the morning. So, sorry, you all. That sort of counts. That is a negative commandment. I'm looking for positive ones. Anyone else? Joy. I'm not going to repeat what Joy said, but that is technically one of them. So you got one of the 7. That's awesome. Any others? Any last? Emily? Rejoice. I'm going to count that. That's true. You're supposed to have an extra festive meal also, so that's in the spirit of rejoicing.
This is more serious, I promise.
Okay. Study. So we got that one too. Any last? Yeah. Light the candles. Thank you. We all just did that one. Thank you. That's a pretty obvious one. So we've got some positive commandments. We've got light the candles, make kiddush, which we will do, have intimate encounters with our closest people, Joy, and also attend shul in the morning. So that also counts, and we'll count tonight too. Also, hear the Torah be read. Not make challah, but also have a festive meal and make havdalah. Those are the 7 things that you are actively supposed to do. But what this teaches us is that it's actually quite a lot of work. Those things take a lot of work. And if you're really thinking about it, all of those things that I just named, and that Joy named, require other people. And so we are here in this space to do the work of rest. It's kind of counterintuitive, it's kind of odd, but that is what we are here to do, to try really hard to do something that maybe our brains aren't actually hardwired to do, to push ourselves to rest, and to do that in community. That is the goal for the next hour. I encourage you, if you come here every week, try to do something a little bit differently to push your brain into that new space. And what we're going to do now is move into the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, which also encourage us to settle into this unusual experience of rest. Beginning on page 130, singing out loud, calling each other into this work with Lechu Naranana.
135, 5 lines down on the page. Yodu Shimcha Atol Benora Yodu Shimcha just voices. Yodu Shimcha Gadol Venora. One more time. Yodu Shimcha Gadol Venora. In these summer weeks, we can sometimes lose time, disoriented by travel, by heat, by a changing and amorphous schedule, extra mugginess, less work, more work, and so on and on and on. But Shabbat brings us back into time, a sacred time, a time outside of time, reorienting ourselves out of our disorientation, giving us focus of meaning and rest and connection. It grounds us, rooting us into the holiness that is community and tradition, song and rest. And we take a moment to just breathe into that groundedness, into that rootedness. One more breath together, harmony of breathing. And we allow our voices to rise like God's. In the words of Psalm 29 on page 137, our voices with the strength to shatter our anxieties like the cedars, thundering and rippling out over the water, building a space of strength and well-being in this sacred community of prayer.
Page 140.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Tzadik kata marif rach ke'eret balvanon yizgeh shetoli bevet Adonai bechayot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvu leseva deshenim berananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai Tzuri v'lo avlatabu.
This summer, we have been blessed with many people from our community offering words of Torah. And perhaps you've already seen this. There is still time. If you also want to share words of Torah with this community, you can still sign up to give a drash at Shabbat services. And tonight, I'm very excited to call forward Emily Sachs, who will be our darshanit this evening, offering us a few words of Torah.
Put it down. Yeah, I used to. Yeah, but I want to move. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. All right, thank you. This week's Parsha is Chukat. It begins with a description of the rituals for the sacrifice of the red heifer, and then continues with the narrative of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness and Miriam's death and burial. After Miriam's death, the community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron. As Rabbi Green quoted from the Torah a few weeks ago, the Israelites continued to bemoan their situation and reminisce about the glorious foods of Egypt. Trying to resolve the situation, Moses and Aaron seek divine guidance. God tells them to assemble the community and order the rock to yield its water for them and their beasts. Famously, after the Israelites gather at the rock, and Moses reprimands them by saying, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you out of this rock?" And Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod. Out came copious water, and the community and the beasts drank. Much commentary is focused on explaining why, instead of speaking to the rock as instructed by God, Moses struck the rock instead. Commentators wonder whether this action played a role in keeping Moses from entering the promised land. Was it because he struck the rock, or because he failed to announce that God had performed the miracle, or because he acted with anger instead of with diplomacy, or for some other reason that Moses was prevented from entering the promised land? Imagining the scene of Moses striking the rock, I started to think about rocks and the secret powers they hold. Over the past millennium, across the globe, cultures have begun to discover the buried secrets in rocks. In 4th century China, the earliest known gas wells were drilled into rocks using bits attached to bamboo poles. An 11th century Song dynasty scientist Shen Kuo wrote about sekiyu, literally rock oil, a word that is still used to mean petroleum in China and Japan. Scientists eventually determined that this rock oil was derived over millions of years from the carbon-containing remains of phytoplankton and zooplankton. In the 18th century, German chemist Caspar Neumann used a term that was translated into English as fossil fuel, meaning fuel obtained by digging in the earth. Think fossil hunter. Today, we use fossil fuel to refer to those irreplaceable fuels that derive from organisms that had delayed long before the Israelites left Egypt. Globally, we now know how to hit petroleum-containing rocks with the latest technology in order to derive from them the fuel that powers our homes and vehicles. Rock fuels have given us lifestyles that were unimaginable to our ancestors. And like our ancestors, we are of two minds at once. We know that fossil fuels are overheating the earth, and we know that despite Star Wars, there is no other earth for us to go to. There is not even a pharaonic Egypt for us to retreat back to. We can't retreat to the pre-industrial age. We have to live in this world, and we have to prevent it from overheating. And our progress is painfully slow, almost as slow as wandering around in the desert for 40 years. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the United States has produced more crude oil than any nation at any time for the past 6 years in a row. And this oil has contributed to the U.S. emitting 4.8 million metric tons of carbon dioxide in 2023. These numbers are almost unfathomable. At the 2015 Paris Climate Conference, there was global agreement about the overarching goal of holding the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It's interesting that in the technologically advanced 21st century, when we're developing nanotechnology and mRNA vaccines, we find ourselves having to measure our carbon output against the pre-industrial age. There were many binding commitments made at the Paris Climate Conference that are not being followed, even though we know the dire consequences of heating up the earth. And because we believe in keeping commitments, the CBE climate team has decided to join a campaign during this too darn hot summer to remind those who are financing fossil fuel extraction that we all live together on this earth, and that for the sake of our children and our world, we need to stop hitting those rocks. When Moses hit the rock, he wanted to mollify the Israelites and improve their standard of living. This is understandable, because for a long time, that is what fossil fuels did for humanity too. But just as Moses hit the rock instead of speaking to it, energy producers continue to strike what is easiest, instead of more gently trying to understand what the earth and the people on it need now. And just as Moses angrily took credit for the life-giving gift of water, we too take credit for generating power and profit from non-renewable sources instead of finding healthier ways to power our future. Moses was acting out of frustration instead of leading with confidence. And we know that it's hard to keep our confidence in the face of unknown and powerful forces. This past Tuesday, on a pretty steamy morning, a dozen members of the CBE climate team protested in front of Citibank headquarters. We joined a broad-based effort to pressure the bank to live up to its commitments at the Paris Climate Conference and stop financing new fossil fuel extraction. We received mixed, generally negative, reception from the 1,000 bankers whose workday and entrance into air-conditioned comfort we delayed by an hour. They looked sleek and powerful. We looked more bedraggled, especially those Here's looking at you, Marjorie, who dressed up as hot dogs and got arrested blocking the doors. If you're interested in learning more about the climate team, which does not have to involve getting arrested, please see Marjorie or me, and I see other members of the team here after services, or check the advisory. Our next action, which will be part of a Faith Week series of protests, will be on August 1st. We don't know if this movement will be successful, if we will be able to break through the psychological barriers that people set up between what is convenient and what is necessary. As Rabbi Colin reminded us, it took Caleb and Joshua to psych themselves into believing that the impossible task before them could be achieved, that the Israelites could enter the promised land. Yachol nuchal, they said, surely we can. And thinking about the powerful forces arrayed against us, we must also say, Yachol nuchal, surely we can. We have no other choice. Shabbat shalom.
Yasher koach, Emily. That was extraordinary, both to learn from you and also to hear about this past week with such an important group of people here gathered in this room. Thank you. Our service now continues on page 144 with Chatzi Kaddish. Please rise.
Yitkadal, yitkadash, shemei rabba, vel madi vrakute v'amlich mochute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayetechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala, u'v'zman karib, v'yimeru, amen, yehei shmei Pa'al v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale, v'yithalal, shemei dekodesh abrihu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'yimeru, amen. Barechu Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated, page 148. Baruch Adonai Elohim. Mahavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. We continue on page 150 with our setting of Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Together again. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Torah Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. נדברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לראות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We continue on page 158, page 158, with our Song of the Sea, Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha, Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Edar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilo, Oseh Velech, Nora Tehilo, Oseh Velech, Malchutecha, Ra'u banecha, Bokei hayam, Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Le'eli, Anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
As we move into the latter portion of our service, we move now into Hashkivenu, which is a lullaby. And ultimately, Hashkivenu is a prayer that invites us to think about our own frailties and fragilities and all the ways in which we need a little protection, specifically a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. And tonight, there may be many people that you're thinking of or holding in your hearts that are in need of that shelter. Perhaps we're thinking of those who have been displaced by climate change, and also those of us who are, all of us are experiencing climate change itself. And of course, we wish an extra bit of koach, some spirit, to those who protest against climate change and the forces that continue it. And of course, as well, we think of those who might be far away from us, who are currently facing war and drought and famine. We think of our loved ones in Israel who are especially nervous about ongoing conflagration in Gaza and in the north. And we think of those who are afraid tonight in Gaza, unsure perhaps of what tomorrow will bring and when this war will end. There are so many reasons why we wish for a shelter of peace. And we say it every single week, and we're going to keep saying it. We're going to keep praying on behalf of all those who are afraid, because no one deserves to live in fear. So as we move into Hashkivenu on page 160, that is what we are trying to conjure, trying to imagine a protective spirit, a shelter of peace over all of us and over all the world.
Adonai Eloheinu, Leshalom, Hamidenu, Shomreinu, Lechayim, Ufros Aleinu, Tzulka Shelomecha, V'takeneinu, Le'etzah tova milfanecha, Ve'hoshinu leman shemecha, Ve'hagen ba'adenu, Ve'chased me'aleinu oyef te'aver, Ve'cherev ve'ra'av ve'yagor, Ve'chachek mimenu avon. Ha'afesha v'tzer kenafecha tastirenu, Ki el shomreinu u'matzilenu ata. Ki elchanu verachum ata. Ushmor tzitenu, Huvoinu lechaim u'shalom, Le'ata, le'ad olam. Le'ata, le'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'porei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
We now turn back in our prayer books to turn forward to 371 for our Misha Berach prayer for healing.
Yisheberach avoteinu lekol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We pray now for healing for the following people. If you know a CBE member who needs a little help or extra support from the clergy, please find us after services and let us know. And now we want to turn back in our Sidurim to page 162 for Vishamru before a silent Amidah. Please rise if you are able.
We continue with Ma'ain Sheva on page 182, Rising in Body or in Spirit. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim va'aretz, Magen Avot ve'imahot bidbaro, Bechayim itim v'mamaro, Ha'el Hakadosh she'en kamohu, Hameniach le'amo b'yom Shabbat kodsho. Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Lefanav navot ve'irav hafachad, Ve'nodeh lishmo bechol yom tamid, Ve'on habrachot. El haodot Adon Hashalom, Mekadesh HaShabbat u'mavarech Shevi, Hameniach b'kedusha le'amedush le'oneg, Zecher le'maseh Bereshit. Page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 590. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, והיום יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
I would now like to call up Jonathan Spear to offer us a few greetings and announcements on behalf of our Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to CBE. You might have heard this, that here at CBE, we have members who themselves or whose families come from all around the world, including Argentina, Brazil, Chile, China, Colombia, Egypt, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Ghana, India, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jamaica, Japan, Kenya, Korea, Mexico, Morocco, the Philippines, South Africa, Syria, Thailand, Uruguay, Vietnam, and many places closer to Brooklyn, like Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Ontario, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Texas, and even Queens. No matter where you're from, no matter what we look like or what you thought you came here to do today, we are here to do something real together. We're in this moment living the Judaism of our time. We do not have one kind of look. We do not have one kind of name. We come from every race and myriad cultures. You may meet a white Ashkenazi or Sephardi Jew, a black Jew, an Asian Jew, a Latino Jew, an Arab Jew, and no matter what we look like or what we might know, a lot about Judaism or little, we include a lot of people who aren't Jewish, and we have a broad range of perspectives. The only thing you can assume, the only thing you should assume, is that every single person you meet at CBE belongs here just as much as you do. I want to thank the clergy, Rabbi Matt Green, and summer cantorial intern Sarah Fox. Thank you. I want to thank the staff, Nate, supporting us in person, and Stas Olshansky providing audio and online support. And thank you, Emily, for your Devar Torah tonight. A reminder that Saturday mornings, the services are temporarily taking place in the rotunda. The entrance is through the blue awning just across Garfield. And Friday night services will continue to be here in the chapel. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Jonathan. As we move now into the conclusion of our service, our thoughts turn as always to words of Mourner's Kaddish. And if you are here observing Shiva, or the first week of mourning, we want to ask you to please rise and share a name with our community. If you are observing Shloshim, or the first 30 days of mourning, please share a name. And if you are in Shana, or the first year of mourning, please rise and share a name. And if you're here observing a yortzeit, or the anniversary of a death, please rise and share a name.
Amy Shipper, and I might mention the loss of a close family friend, Ruth Dan, who died at 102 years old this last week. My father, Isaiah Rothwell. My mother, Anna Laura.
In solidarity with our mourners, I invite you all to please rise as we think as well of those whom we've lost in the last 30 days. Paul Kane, father of Rabbi Mali Kane, father-in-law of Michelle Citron, and grandfather of Avishai and Benjamin. Nate Berger, uncle of Jocelyn Berger, and Helen Lansner-Wool, mother of David Lansner, and mother-in-law of Carolyn Kubacek, as well as the following yortzeits: Isidore Belizer, Edward Burmas, Joseph Binder, Gertrude Blaustein, Charles Block, Robert Cohen, Hazel Kronheim, Carl DeRosa, Mary DeRosa, Annie Laurie Hamilton, Donaldson, Dr. A. Stanley Dreyfus, Sue Esco, Samuel Farbman, Bessie Felsenfeld, Gloria Fishman, Maximilian Friedman, Henry Hess, Michael Hiller, Louis Holland, Aaron Jacobs, Louis Jaffe, Marguerite Josephdahl, Siegfried Katz, Miriam Katz, Lillian Kaufman, Stanley Kriegel, Lillian Leibner, David Leinhart, Sal Mayer, Amelia Merrick, Jeanette Minkoff, Sylvia Mishkin, Lee Morganlander, Abraham Nachman, Philip Nachlin, Charles Rockmore, Arthur Rosenfeld, Billy Safian, Babette Schmidt, Joyce Selmansky, Michael Shapiro, Hedva Lang Schuckman, Sanford Silverberg, Norman Silverman, Shirley Singer, Marvin Spurn, Seymour Stein, Mildred Strauss, Isidore Sussman, Matthew Waxman, and Bernie Wasco. We say Zichronam Zivracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. As we turn to page 598, 2 words of Kaddish. Yitgedal v'yitgedash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyamechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekutshat, brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, al kol yishvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace over us and over all who mourn. And let us say, Amen.
Ve'imru, ve'imru. Amen. Our closing song today can be found on page 625, Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, Le'ed nasa, V'chefzo kol, Azai melech shemo nikra, Azai melech shemo nikra, Ve'acharei kikot hakol, Levado yimlok nora, Ve'hu haya, Ve'hu hoveh, Ve'hu yiyeh v'tifara, Ve'hu yiyeh v'tifara, Ve'hu echad v'sheni, Le'am shilo le'achvira, Ve'li reishit, Ve'li tachlit, Ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizra, Ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizra, Ve'hu eli v'chai go'ani, V'tzur chevli v'yitzara, Ve'hu nisi u'manosli, Menat kosi v'yom ekra, Menat kosi v'yom ekra, Le'yado achiruchi, Le'eti shan be'ayira, Ve'imruchi keviyati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Please join us in the lobby for Kiddush.